Yeah, I've had better fades. Better fades given with a $2 haircut in a middle school bathroom. But let me tell you something. I think we need to talk a little bit about the Badgers. And YouTube doesn't like swear words, apparently, because they're very, into culture and having things be safe and secure, LOL. But I have to ask, are the Badgers fucked? And again, I like to remind people who know me and inform people who do not that, I do things that are, I sometimes say shocking things or things I think are funny at least. But I'm pretty steady with my support of the Wisconsin Badger football program. Tend to be on the optimistic side, if not far to the extreme in that. So if I'm asking these questions, it means something. I think objectively. So setting the scene, I'm sure you know if you're listening to this, if the algorithms let you through. And by the way, please subscribe if you haven't yet. That ensures that I won't be buried under some like Burmese yoga video or something. But Wisconsin is 2-1. Suffered for lack of a better term, an embarrassing home loss to Alabama. So yes, there were circumstances which made it worse. Alex Van Dyke going down, but it is what it is. I think ESPN has us at about 5 wins now in their FPI, and people are jumping off this ship faster than the Titanic. So wow, it's hurtful to use a Titanic an analogy and have it not be about PJ Fleck. This is a bit of an eye opener, but here we are. What looked like a not as good as expected version of the Wisconsin Badgers in 2024, following a not as good as expected version of the Badgers in 2023, and now we don't have our starting quarterback, which basically the season was built around as far as Longo's offensive scheme. Don't get me wrong, I know Locke was brought in by Longo specifically, but there are things that Locke cannot do as well as Van Dyke. These are objectively true. His arm isn't as strong. He can't even move around as much. But I don't want to totally write off Locke because Locke does have a lot of things going on, especially between the years. So let's pan out 10,000 feet and look at the rest of this season. There are 9 games left, hopefully 10. And ask if the Badgers are fucked. I hate to do that, but there are sometimes inflection points in past seasons where there's a game. The Illinois game in 2022 was just such an example, and you wonder how many games they're going to win the rest of the year. Last year, after losing to Northwestern at home and having those 2 games with Nebraska and Minnesota left, it was fair to wonder if Wisconsin would win another game. Wisconsin would get bowl eligible. Here we are again. There's an incredibly daunting schedule. I mean, I go through it mainly because I feel people need to hear this who haven't looked ahead. You got at USC, you got a couple other games like Purdue, games you should win. You got at Northwestern, that's always creepy. At a resurgent Rutgers team, you're hosting Oregon, and probably at that time a Heisman Trophy top front runner in Dylan Gabriel. You got Penn State, who didn't look great against a MAC team at home their last game, but has looked better at various times when they blew out West Virginia on the road. Common rivals. You got at Iowa. That could be a 4-2 win. At a now ranked Nebraska. This is just an absolutely horrendous rest of the schedule. And it's okay. It's fun. Welcome to the new Big Ten. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's exactly the kind of schedule that we want to have more exciting games after being iceberged in the Big Ten West for almost a decade. And even when you had good seasons, people would look at it skeptically. Like, who'd you play? So I like the aspect that we're playing tougher teams, that we have higher stakes games. That's all good. But I have to look at the reality of it is, can a Braden Locke led Wisconsin Badger team have success? And if so, where does that success look like? If you compared the projected wins that fans thought Wisconsin would have this season, Wisconsin fans, I think you were seeing pretty much anyone who is saying 7 or 8 was considered a pessimist coming into the season. I wasn't one of those people. I thought 8 wins would be a great season given the schedule and given the state of the program and where I thought the talent was coming into the schedule. But suffice to say, there were 9s and 10s and 11s in there. It's fine. I like optimism. It's fun. it's fun when you're saying it in August. It's not as much fun when you're saying it in September, when you're looking at a very different reality. But looking at, and I did a poll myself on Twitter, but looking at the perception of the same fan base now, you're seeing things like 4 wins, 3 wins in some cases. 6 tends to be pretty popular. 7, 8 are the new 9, 10, 11. So I think probably on average, even after losing a game that almost everyone thought we were going to lose coming into the season and of the week of, which is Alabama, we have a 2 to 3 win downgrade in how Wisconsin fans are looking at the rest of this season. Okay, I'd say probably 6 and 6 is the average, but 5 and 7 is not uncommon. And I'm here to tell you, I'll get into what I think in a minute. If you think Wisconsin is going to win 5 games this year, you aren't crazy. You aren't out on a limb somewhere. Okay, the schedule is such, and the situation on offense is such, and some of the situations on defense are such that 5 wins wouldn't necessarily be out of the realm of possibility. Okay, we got to find 3 wins somewhere. And if you don't think we're beating a ranked team or a close to ranked team, you don't think we're beating Nebraska on the road, you don't think we're beating Iowa on the road, you got to do things like beat Purdue at home, beat Northwestern on the road, which is always tricky. And then you got to pick up another one somewhere. Is it, Minnesota at home? That's not a great Minnesota team. That's not outlandish. And then, maybe you get Rutgers on the road or something. It's the fear of the unknown. Could Braden Locke, especially with the week off, he's not off, but a bye week, with more reps, come in and sort of surprise the world, shock the world? He's a smart guy. He understands the playbook. And I don't think I'm saying anything crazy, but you've probably heard the whispers too. The Longo's play calling and the playbook and things like that are incredibly intricate and complex. He is very, very in control with this as far as who gets to say. It's a little bit of an odd situation as far as how these plays get called and how they're learned and things like that. We don't need to get that's for another time. But suffice to say, being smart and having a great capacity is a huge bonus in this particular version of the Longo offense. So I think that is a one big plus that Braden Locke brings to the table. And that's not to suggest Tyler Van Dyke didn't or Tanner Mordecai didn't. I think those are 2 smart guys who were incredibly dedicated, have the nose in the playbook a lot too. But that is one definite positive. Another positive for Braden Locke is, he knows the system as I mentioned, but it's not unusual for people who have talent and haven't quite shown it to make a leap given more reps. That could absolutely happen. It could happen. I don't think it would be shocking if it happened at some level. The question is how much. His feet aren't great. His arm isn't great. Those are 2 facts that are not going to change. There's no pill he can take or course he can take or magical potion that's going to make Braden Locke a great athlete or increase his arm strength. He is what it is. He can work out more, lift weights, do whatever. But the reality is that's probably part of why he didn't win the job in fall camp, is that he just doesn't have the arm that Van Dyke did or does. So I feel like if we take the top 20% of crazy outcomes and the bottom 20% of crazy outcomes, here is how I see this team going the rest of the season. I'm not going to go game by game, but this is I think the most reasonable ground to take. They're going to be competitive in many, if not most, of their games. They're going to struggle mightily, though, against top elite teams, kind of like we saw with Alabama. So Oregon is going to be tricky. SC is going to be tricky. They're probably going to pull an upset somewhere against someone, if not by perception, by the betting line. And they're not going to have any runaways. This team is not going to blow anyone out. So there's going to be a lot of grindy games. Be prepared for 20 to 17s. Be prepared for 13 to 10s going in the fourth quarter. And that's going to take a lot of grit from the defense to make this happen. But I do think this team is going to win 6 games. I'm going to say a 6-game win, or 6 games won. The bowl streak will continue. It's going to be a crappy Minnesota-like bowl, but it's going to be a bowl. 6 wins is where I'm going. I'd love to hear the comments as to why I'm undershooting, or probably more likely why I'm overshooting. But I think if this team continues to develop, given the talent and given that we've not seen, in my opinion, anywhere near the upside of several players on this team, especially on defense in the linebacking core on the line. Um, I just feel like there's some room for growth in the receiver department. I feel like the running back committee will get sorted out a little bit better. And there are a lot of talented dudes on this team. It is. This isn't Alabama talent. It's not USC talent, Ohio State talent, Michigan talent, but they're talented guys. These are prideful, talented guys on this team, and sometimes it just has to coalesce. That's where we are. I mean, I use the example of the 99 season where Cincinnati, upset us, and then you put another quarterback in, and you almost run the table after a one more loss. I'm not suggesting this team has the talent or upside of the 99 Badgers. I'm just saying sometimes you just don't know. And that's kind of the fun of being a fan, and we don't know. But keep the faith, Badgers.